Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be doing something a bit different. This is going to be more like a vlog. I just want to share a little bit about some of the lessons and challenges that I've been exploring in my own life lately. And I think the easiest way to describe them would be that there's these two really powerful forces inside of me. One of them is a lot of insecurity, fear, and shame. And then the other force is kind of the opposite. It's this really insatiable desire to embrace life fully and to share with the world and to express and to expose myself and to expose my creativity and my work. So I've got this balancing act going on inside of me that's absolutely fascinating, and it's really amplified or aggravated by the fact that I wrote and published a book last year, and I'm now in the place of kind of stumbling down the path of figuring how to get that book into the world in a meaningful and significant way, how to get it into the hands of readers and how to promote it and articulate myself as an author in a way that is authentic and feels good, and how to do that in a natural, empowered way when a part of me would just rather hide from all of humanity and kind of like collapse into a cave of shame. Just to give a little backstory, like I said, I published a book at the end of 2020. In 2020, that year, most of which was spent in a lockdown type state of solitude and isolation and introspection, I took basically that year to write this book, and it was an incredibly wonderful way to spend that time. I feel incredibly blessed that I was able to find something healthy and creative to do with myself in what otherwise could have been a challenging period. This is the book. It's called How to Open the Heart: An Incredible Journey into Vulnerability, Empathy, and the Transformation of Consciousness. And writing the book was a really joyful process, but it was also somewhat painful. Like every day sitting down to write was kind of painful. It's weird. It's like there was these two opposing forces within me. One had this inertia, like it just didn't really want to engage in this revealing, challenging, creative project. And there was another part that was just like, I want this, I need this, I'm going for this, I'm obsessed with this, there's nothing else that I want to do. So there's a quote that I pulled up because when I read it right after finishing writing my book, and it like summarized some of the painful parts of writing a book. And it's from George Orwell, and it says, "Writing a book is a horrible, exhausting struggle, like a long bout of some painful illness. One would never undertake such a thing if one were not driven on by some demon whom one can neither resist nor understand." When I read that, I was like, yes, you nailed it. Like, it's like being possessed. And when I was in that, months-long creative state, being so devoted to and consumed by what I was working on, it's like a lot of good habits go out the window. Like eating regularly doesn't matter, hanging out with people doesn't matter, none of that shit matters. There's this thing to focus on and to like hunch over for hours at a time in terrible posture until your body aches and your eyes are blurry. Anyhow, this is definitely not a complaint. I was so grateful to slide into that creative zone and to be able to produce something that I feel really proud of. And that's what I come out of that whole year with this beautiful, shimmering jewel that I was like so happy with and so proud of, this book that I wrote. And the book, of course, as the title suggests, is a book about opening the heart, developing empathy, becoming comfortable, being vulnerable and authentic in the world. And that's what I spent nearly the past decade, like, deeply diving into. And the book just tells the story of that journey. It's just a pure kind of recounting of an experience. However, now ushering the book into the world, it's like it presents a whole new level of that same learning. Like, because it's incredibly vulnerable just sharing a book with the world, let alone a book that's like absurdly naked and honest and shares so much of my person and my experience, both good and bad. And then it's incredibly vulnerable just to make videos and put them out there. And one thing that's different about this than in the past, because I have published books before, but that was almost a decade ago, and that was through a conventional publisher, whereas this time I self-published. And I also I didn't really carry over my audience from that previous work that I did a decade ago, because after publishing and promoting that work, I stepped away from it after a couple of years and just went into a period of like kind of living like a monk, just doing inner work, and pulled away from the world. And I got rid of social media and all of that. So when I put this book out into the world, I am really starting from scratch, in the sense that I don't have an audience, or I don't have a significant audience. I do have a small audience, and some of you might be watching this video, and I love you and I appreciate you, so don't get it don't get it twisted. But you're a very rarefied group of people right now. There's not an enormous I don't have a big reach, and I was starting also with like just a small social network personally, because I had been so pulled back from the world for so many years. And so it's incredibly humbling now, starting from that place and doing things like creating these videos, which I've been doing every week, and sometimes just a couple people seeing them maybe, and just being humbled by that reality of, okay, I have to, like, I'm committed to the marathon, like the long haul of doing this work, of refining my craft by making these videos, and refining my my communication and my vision, being committed to getting this book out there, not just letting it be something that is a tiny little flicker that a handful of people read and then fades away, but consistently exposing myself and my voice and my vision to the world, even when it's not received, or even when very few see that, even when there's no positive feedback that comes from that, to the shame and insecurity within me. Oh my God, that's like a nightmare. That's like it's so easy for the shame voice in me that, like I said before, would rather just hide from society. It doesn't want to expose itself and all of its uniqueness and weirdness to the world. That shame script, it sees things in such a negative light, and it sees everything as kind of a limitation. Like, I'll catch myself thinking things like, there's no point in doing any of this, it's never gonna go anywhere, nobody cares, just like so negative. It's like crushingly negative. And it just doesn't want to expose itself, and it sees my life through the lens of shame. It sees the strangeness and the uniqueness. I mean, those are even the words of like the shame part, the strangeness. I'm not strange, I'm just Miles. Like but it looks at my life path, which involves, at this point, being a 35-year-old fledgling self-published author who spent who works evenings as a server in a restaurant, who spent much of his 20s living in cabins in the woods, who spent like 8 years in some kind of almost monkish period of introspection and emotional work. The shame part of me sees all of that as just weirdo, loser, freak, fuck up. But there's another part of me that is stronger, thank God, because that shame part has got some strength itself. But there's this other part that is the voice of I don't know if I would call it truth or love or the heart or all of the above. My higher self, my authentic self. Doesn't really matter what label I give it, but it's a voice of maturity and strength and balance and reason. And it sees all of these things like as divine. It sees, oh, it's so beautiful that you're starting from scratch here, Miles, because it's making you so humble. It's making you have to work for everything that you're going to experience. It's making you have to believe so much in yourself. Because you're not necessarily getting buoyed by the accolades or positive reception from others. It's making you refine your abilities. Like if you make a video, it doesn't matter if anybody watches it because it's part of this creative ripening within yourself. Getting more clear in how you articulate yourself and it sees where I'm at in life as a 35-year-old, what an amazing age, as a server who works evenings. I love serving people and I get to learn so much about humanity by taking that role, and I make great money and it's fun and it's beautiful and it's like so sacred. And then what was the other thing I said? Oh yeah, like living in the woods and having this kind of like spiritual odyssey. That stuff is like so beautiful. It's so awesome. And I like, whew. Give me a second. Yeah, that part feels like it believes in the light of life. It believes in the light of my life, and it believes in the light of everybody's life, and just looking for that perspective on the stories that we're all living, looking for the sanctity and the divinity. Even when I like quote unquote waste time, like watching YouTube videos or something, the shame part will be like, you're a loser, you have no self-control, you're like blah, 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 just super harsh and condemning in its negativity. Whereas that other like heart voice will be like, Miles, there's probably better things you can do with your time right now. However, even what you're doing, there must be a reason for it. When you're like watching like lowbrow YouTube, you're learning about language, you're learning about what people, how people connect and how people entertain each other, and you're absorbing all of this really quite profound stuff that's helping you develop subconsciously or consciously. And that maybe is why you're attracted to lowbrow bullshit. Anyhow, so I find myself at this fascinating place in my life where there's these two voices, and they're both like, that heart voice is like loud and strong. It's like a significant part of my awareness in my daily life. It really is. And there's also this shame voice that just would rather run and hide, and it's negative and it's limiting, and it doesn't believe in opportunity. It doesn't believe in possibility. It's like the Scrooge or whatever. It's like the cynical older person who quashes the dreams of the pure child who just sees possibility and beauty and love everywhere. Yeah, and so I'm grateful because like having that shame voice is really cool because I get to like study it and learn about it, and there's beauty within it, and there's like tenderness and vulnerability underneath its cynicism and negativity. There's so much richness there. So, I mean, I feel really blessed to have that inside of me, to be in process with it. I feel like it's what makes me interesting. It makes my life so much more interesting, having that contrast within my person. It makes this video exist because I have something to talk about that's relatable and universal. Because I think that that dance between this desire for life and love and expression and freedom and purity, and then this complete wanting to run from exposure and vulnerability, which are the path to that other stuff. That's just such a quintessential thing. It's the material. It's what gave me like writing material for my book. So I definitely am not lamenting the fact that this is going on in me. This is the juice. This is the good stuff. However, sometimes I won't lie, I'm not always in such an enlightened perspective with it. But yeah, it's just that I feel like my progress with the book has been or maybe like the book getting out into the world in a more significant way than it has. And hey, I've gotten some amazing feedback from people. Like, I'm so touched at how the book has been received so far. And yeah, like, I think the whole path with it is so beautiful. I'm so grateful for it. But I do believe that my own shame, inhibition, and insecurity can act as kind of a barrier to what's fully possible. And where I'm at is just like, that barrier has been softening. And that's why these videos have been getting made. That's why I'm posting more to social media. It's actually because I've been like sitting, looking at the wall of my shame and insecurity for a number of months and being like, okay, you're not as scary as you seem. Like, the wall starts to soften over time. And the more that I do this, the less that I care about how it's received, the less that I'm afraid of the reactions of the tribe, and the less that I'm controlled by those insecurities, because I'm building a muscle of exposing myself. And then, oh, I'm still alive. Expose myself. Feel this fear, and then wait a minute, I'm still alive. Hey, somebody liked it. Somebody wrote me an email that they liked what I shared, and I'm still alive. And so I have been noticing that pattern, like, softening and shifting. And I thought, I just wanted to make this video to kind of like document where I'm at on that journey. And I think it would be cool to make follow-up videos as I continue, because there's both like an internal emotional process going on, and then there's like a superficial way of measuring it. Right now, I guess the superficial stuff is like making these videos every week. This video is 2 days late because I was supposed to make it by Sunday. I'm supposed to make one video a week. So this week I have to make another one before Sunday. I feel okay, because the reason this video is late is because I was kind of just like examining how to make a more kind of directly personal, kind of like a journal entry style video, which is what this is. But yeah, I think it would be cool to give updates periodically on this journey, for just my own looking back, and it might be enjoyable for some people, for the beloved audience that I have out there, to watch something evolving in real time. Anyhow, that's all for today, I think. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. Hit the like button, do the subscribe thing, do the comment thing, or do none of the above and just feel good vibes. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.